to medium rare, the food show, whatever this is. We just want to talk about some news that is currently affecting the food industry, plus a lot of other stuff. We don't want to talk about this screwworm situation, the horror movie Pest, they're calling it. So basically, it's the New World screwworm. It's a parasitic fly whose larvae eat out the living flesh of warm-blooded animals. Females lay eggs in any open wound, even one as small as a tick bite. Gross. And then when the eggs hatch, hundreds of maggots burrow into the living tissue, eventually killing the host if it's untreated. Unlike most flies, they eat live flesh, not dead tissue. And so a case has popped up in Texas. Lance, do you know anything? What can you tell us?
From sources that were posted on Reddit, there was a couple. I saw Texas and I believe New Mexico, and then I'm seeing some other things that it's like multiple animals infected. I don't know if it's just those two locations, if it's more than one farm, ranch, whatever's going on. But yeah, that's it's not a good time. Allegedly, I think we're at like a historical low for cattle head in the country. Mm-hmm. So
yeah, I want to get into that a little bit later. I've got those stats pulled up, but so this is the first confirmed U.S. case of screwworm since 1966, and as you mentioned to me, they've had this kind of what's the word I'm looking for? Quarantine zone between the U.S. and Mexico, and they've been there's a facility in Panama that creates these sterile fly maggots or larvae so that the females don't breed and create more of these. And but yeah, so it's June 3rd. There was a three-week-old calf in La Pryor, Texas, which is about 100 miles southwest of San Antonio. And as of mid-June, we are now up to 12 confirmed cases, 11 in Texas and 1 in New Mexico, as you mentioned, including calves, a goat, and a dog that had traveled to Mexico. According to the USDA, the Secretary Brooke Rollins of the USDA, our food supply is 100% safe. The parasite infests wounds, not food.
Rest in peace, cattle.
I mean, yeah, it's just hard.
I mean, we could probably revamp the program from, generations ago to create more male sterile flies to breed with the fertile baddies.
Well, actually, so that is happening. There is a new $750 million fly factory, which is currently under construction in Texas, but it won't be in operation until fall 2027. So, is it just a corporation building like it's normal peace times, or because we could, if in crazy times use the powers, top down, and then they just basically put Army Corps of Engineers in and they super speed up things. Yeah, if that happens.
But we're only at 13 cases?
Yeah.
2 states?
12 confirmed right now. And yeah, so they are working on something. I don't know if they will use like the that was the thing they used to make ventilators during COVID, right?
Yeah, I forget the name of it, but whatever they do with that stuff.
So there's a 12-mile quarantine zone now around La Pryor. Animal transport has been halted within 20 kilometers. Checkpoints on major roads, you can't. So we could start to see like cattle smuggling or something at some point. I don't know how, but
I want to see Texans armed with bug assault pump guns.
Yeah,
that would be epic.
The border is currently closed to Mexican cattle imports for over a year. So Mexico normally supplies 1.2 million head of cattle a year. There are 4 million sterile flies being dropped a week in South Texas, and 4 million more released as pupa on the ground. They're pupating.
Delish.
The current Panama facility produces around 100 million sterile flies a week. And experts say we need around 500 million for full eradication.
Well, it's better than nothing, but at the same time, if there's not enough mass to hit I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I mean, obviously, it's very early. I'd like to see if the governments south of Texas, so all of Mexico's main federal government, and then the regional governments, all the states and stuff like that, like if they have any data, that'd be cool, but I haven't seen or heard anything about that, because if they're coming up that means that Mexico could also be dealing with it at a greater scale.
Oh yeah. So it was contained in Panama for a long time, the screwworms.
And that was because the narrow land bridge of land masses is just easier to cut it off the bottleneck there.
So that's why they built that facility there to drop all these. But as of 2023, cases started moving north through Costa Rica, Nicaragua, and Mexico. As of June 2nd this year, 171,000 animals, around 172,000 animals, and 2,000 people have experienced contracted this, I guess, gotten bit by the fly across Central America.
Like sleeping and the fly lands on you.
Yeah, so 10 human deaths.
Damn. Ouch. Yeah,
as of
good.
June.
Literally being live flesh being devoured while you're living. Like, holy shit.
And guess why? Guess why they're moving forward or moving north? Lance, do you have any ideas?
Why the flies are moving north?
Yeah.
Oh, it's probably global warming.
It is. It's climate change. It's because it's warm, moister, more moist, warm climates as a
because they can't thrive in the colder, near freezing climates.
Yeah,
like that's when they're gonna die down. Maybe some survive in like the Goldilocks zone of like a weird thing. Maybe.
Yeah, little enclaves or whatever.
Yeah.
But yeah, we haven't had those cold snaps that would kill them off.
Yeah. I mean, warm. And as climate change pops off, maybe it's like, maybe a span of years where it's just blazing dry, hot heat and they're thriving or something. And then maybe, hopefully, like, we get a big ice wave and then it kills them off, but then that's uncertainty for
you're just
cattle industry, you know, and all the restaurants serving beef.
Yeah. So at that point, the cattle shortage has already been bad. The herd is currently at a 75-year low.
75-year low. Wow. Okay. Longer than I thought I read. Damn.
A lot of that is due to drought that has killed or has hiked the feed costs, and it forces ranchers to sell off the herds.
Probably growing the food for the cows. That's impacted by climate change over the past 75 years. I mean,
so current beef production is already 6.5% behind last year's pace. So as of the 1st of May, feedlot inventories were only about 2 of 2025 levels, which is historically tight. And normally high prices would encourage ranchers to keep heifers for breeding, but because of the drought, there's no grass for grazing, so they have to sell instead of hold on to rebuild.
They couldn't even increase the cattle head if they wanted without an exorbitant amount of investment, probably. Just because if you have no food for the cow, how are you going to have more cow, you know? And
so according to Texas A&M, this adds another headwind, the screwworm infestation is another reason to be more cautious about rebuilding, because the screwworm is an added cost that goes straight to the farmer, because they have to pay people to do more checks on the cows, to check for these surveillance costs, expenses for treatment, general uncertainty. So there's just more and more reason not to have a big herd, because you need to check more often to see if these things are there, and then what happens if a lot of your animals are infested.
So we'll probably see maybe even a tightening of, I mean, ultimately, if things continue on par, then we'll just see the cattle head shrink further down. There's a reason, that reminds me of the beef industry. I think it's Argentina. We just like subsidize them. So we're getting their beef up here to serve, because our beef, we can't beef 100%.
Yeah, exactly. But because the Mexican border is closed, that's 1.2 million head that is going to be removed from the yearly supply. It's like, we can't. So even if the border is reopened, every animal that goes through would have to have a vet inspection and treatment. There's no like quick fix to the situation. It's not like we just
there's no like vaccine to prevent the parasite infecting.
It's not like a Strait of Hormuz where we can just click our fingers and reopen it and get the supply chain moving.
Yeah.
It's like if we had to inspect every barrel of oil individually. Well, not quite that good, but it would suck. So this could mean, 1.8 billion in economic losses just in Texas. In 1976, Texas outbreak cost producers about 132 million, which if you adjust for inflation, 733 million.
Yikes. Yeah.
So the former USDA APHIS administrator says this isn't going to go away very soon, This is a long-term problem. Might not be eradicated by the end of Trump's term. Even this is going to continue for the next 2 years.
I mean, so I read an article in 2014 in Florida, I guess wild deer population that had screwworm, but they were able to eradicate it. I don't know. It comes and goes, I guess, but it's like every time it shows up, we all have to make sure we're aware and keep an eye on it. I know that funding was pulled for the program that was working on this in recent time, so that doesn't really help the situation. So depending on the outbreak, we could see a change on that, and then maybe hopefully we can mitigate what's about to happen with the freaking steak on my plate price, man.
Yeah, so speaking of the numbers, we'll get to that. They are ugly. Right now, average ground beef price is about $6.90 a pound, which is up about 32% from 2 years ago. The forecast from the USDA says that beef prices will go up another 12%, which has already gone up. Inflation in the beef category has already gone up 12.9 from last year. So in a bullish case for the beef price, fewer cattle equals a smaller supply equals higher prices. That's already happening, and so any supply shock pushes prices higher. In a bearish case, will prices go down? No, it's like the demand is going to be destroyed. If consumers get freaked out by flesh-eating maggots, they might buy less beef, but the USDA says it's safe and it's not going to enter the food supply. But even still, if you see headlines, us talking about this, it's going to generate more public knowledge of it, so it could.
The anxiety of having a flesh-eating parasite in you, people are not going to be too stoked to hear about that.
Yeah.
So you're probably right that people will probably maybe choose other food options, I would imagine. At least those that are aware and, fear it.
Why not go to chicken? Why not go to pork?
Right.
Whatever it is. But who's to say that other supplies might not be infected as well? Because
they have to let the public know before the panic ensues, right?
Yeah.
Or just keep it secret.
Yeah. So like on traders, they don't know which way to go. They seem to be going back and forth between consumer fear or less surprise if prices go up. So who knows? Prices are already high. They're going higher, and this isn't like a maybe issue. The herd is already at 75-year lows, as we said, and then you add this. So even if the infestation is contained, the production and import disruptions are still going to take months or years. And this is kind of what we saw with, and what we're going to continue to see with Strait of Hormuz, but what we saw with like the, remember the ship that got stuck in the Suez Canal?
Oh, the memes.
Yeah, and it just disrupted the supply chains, and we're still feeling the ripple effects of that, of like where are we going to get our items.
I mean, it's all, end of day, it's commodities, right? Everything's a commodity, essentially, that can be served on a plate.
Yeah.
Or cooked, whatever you
Absolutely.
want to do with it.
Yeah.
But like, barrel of oil, same thing, it's commodity. That's interesting though, but this is a living commodity.
So, of course, to briefly touch on the politics of this, because everything is politics right now, the head of the USDA is blaming Biden because it didn't appear overnight. This, like I said, it's been since 2023 at least. This has been moving forward. So it's a direct result of the weak foreign policy agenda and failed immigration policies. And meanwhile, on the other side of the aisle, of course, Democrats are going to blame Trump. Trump's reckless and harmful cuts have left the U.S.'s food supply vulnerable, pointing to the USDA loss of 2,100 employees. Probably part of the Doge policies early on.
Yeah, that's that's a problem. Obviously, people will want to pull funding from a program, obviously, when there's nothing bad happening, and reallocate funding or whatever, or slash it entirely, and then, then we needed it now, and so here we are. So we're back at it. We got the freaking fly, the spooky fly.
Yeah, so this could just exacerbate the GOP's biggest vulnerability, which is the affordability crisis. Just another thing, another check mark, I guess. I don't know. It's just another thing kind of adding up to do that. But want to do that specifically. Like, I want to talk about that. This is kind of a restaurant food show. Let's talk about how that's affecting restaurants, because beef prices are already at historic highs. like I said, $6.90 a pound for ground beef, which is up 19. Wholesale brisket is up roughly 28. Some Houston barbecue joints now pay $5.56 a pound for brisket, and they're going to raise their prices to like $35 per pound of beef that you order on a plate.
Whatever makes the company money, right? The kitchen money, you got to pay the cooks, the people, you know? It's inevitable.
Well, that's the thing is like, you know, kind of more broadly, so many people get into restaurants and they're like, this is my passion. This is what I want to do. And I'm going to, you know, usually it's some kind of like rich investor or someone that's like, oh, wouldn't that be fun to start a restaurant? And they think, oh, yeah, that's a money-making venture. And it's like, no, like... There's so many times that I've like in situations I've been involved in as well, where someone has an idea for like, oh, this is what I would do if I was a restaurant, like some kind of chef. They don't have money, so they have to go to an investor. They find someone that they can kind of convince, and then these people are like, oh yeah, it's gonna be super easy. Just get in there and make me whatever I want, and I don't care about the cost. And they just throw money at it, and then they realize they're not gonna make money back on that investment, and then they sell it. And the chef is out of a job. Or
even if there's a catastrophe like kitchen fire and you have to replace, you know, the kitchen, the infrastructure of the building, and then buy new equipment to replace all the destroyed stuff. I mean, there's a pizza shop. They were closed for almost a year or just over a year because they had their pizza just went in a column of fire through the whole roof, ceiling, all of it, and total loss. And I knew someone was working there, and he had just recently left, but he was saying that the people he still knew that were working there, like, there was no, like, parachute for any of that. It's like, all right, you're getting on whichever job search engine, and you're fucking going, because you don't have paycheck now. It's like overnight, just like that.
There's really no parachute, no safety net for a lot of kitchen workers. Absolutely. Because a lot of times working in the kitchen is, like, it doesn't pay very well. You don't have benefits, you don't have like any kind of security, and you're just doing it because it's your passion or whatever, or it's the only job you can get because you aren't in this country legally, or you don't have any training.
Well, a lot of leeway there, and at least, you know, the person can live. But yeah, I mean, it's, what is it, like 1 or 2 paychecks away essentially, and the business is gonna have some problems. Especially for the kitchen. Most
they're saying not even just for restaurants. I think the statistic is like 60% of Americans are 2 paychecks away from homelessness. But I think restaurants, I think that's pretty big portion of that because it's like retail workers, and you know, it's unpaid or untrained labor, quote unquote. Even though these people, you know, a lot of these people have way more training than the average very specific training, but you do have to be trained.
Sure. I mean, every job you get trained, but here we are.
So to get kind of back on track, one pitmaster that was quoted here spends about 45 of his like monthly grocery budget just on beef.
Wow.
It was like $45,000 in brisket for a barbecue place. The USDA is forecasting food away from home prices, as in restaurants or whatever, up 3.6 this year. 3.6, which is faster than grocery inflation, because it has to be, because if the grocery prices go up, you still have to, like you said, have
each commodity is going to have a different rate, especially if there's a weird systemic shock to that certain thing.
So a lot of consumers are already paying $70 to $100 for a barbecue meal, which is brisket, ribs, sides, and dessert. So for most of Middle America, that's not something you can do every day or once a week or once a month even,
Sounds like you're alluding to beef potentially, if trends continue, becomes more of a delicacy than a regular average daily diet item. I mean, that's just kind of the direction it seems that the river's flowing, so.
Yeah, the head of the Texas Restaurant Association, we have a 30-year shortage of beef. It takes years to rebuild a cattle herd. You can't just replace them in months like other proteins. They don't grow that quickly. So ranchers are losing 1,000 acres a day in Texas to development, which means less cattle already. So this is just another compounding factor. And like you're saying, and there's been so many projections and things out there that have said like it's not good. Cattle is not good for climate change. The amount
resources, the methane that comes out,
the resources it takes to grow the food and to give them water and all that. That's all water that's being used up.
Soil destruction and all the phosphorus and other type of things that go into it.
So a lot of Texas barbecue have already closed this year. Big names, Kirby's Barbecue. Brisket being our biggest seller, that's really weighing on their profit margin, so they closed down. Brett's Barbecue Shop in Katy, Texas. Sabar Barbecue right on Taco and Barbecue. Sweetie Pie's Ribeyes. There's a chain, 801 Chop House. They filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy in April, affecting 8 restaurants from Virginia to Colorado. So it's just like this one, we're balancing our whole food system on this one particular animal being available. And as that gets less and less tenable, like you're saying, it's going to be more of a delicacy, and workers are going to suffer.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting how it all plays out. Well, maybe we see ad campaigns for other proteins.
We might start seeing that. Absolutely. I mean, remember Beef It's What's for Dinner, the commercials? I haven't
that, and then was it Chick-fil-A? They have like Eat More Chicken with the cow, and it's just a little example, but yeah, we'll start seeing more of that. Like, hey, eat chicken or fish or...
Yeah, and think about like where does Arby's get all their beef from and stuff like that. So Arby's is probably gonna, not that they're like, what's the actual cow composition of their
there's some
beef?
cow in there,
but yeah, absolutely there's some. There's gotta be. So this is gonna hit barbecue restaurants really hard right now. Any restaurant that serves beef, I think, eventually will be impacted, depending on where that beef is coming from. It's U.S. beef, but according to one pitmaster, if I pay $5.25 a pound, I'm getting a 50% yield off that piece of meat because you have to trim, you have to take out the stuff that you can't serve, like bones and stuff like that. So really, it's closer to $10.50 a pound because half of that's that.
So the net weight of the meat.
Yeah. And then you got to add labor costs to trim it, wood to smoke it for over 12 hours.
And wood's only getting more expensive, like hickory and all that, right? Or whatever you're smoking it with.
Exactly. Yep. And that takes 12 hours to cook. And then, you got to actually, finish cooking it. You've got labor of the people who are serving it. And then that all the other overhead. Being a front of house kind of person, you pay attention a lot to the paper supplies and things like that.
Oh, and I get to listen to all the customer comments, complaints, compliments, concerns, all of it.
Yeah.
I mean, every time there's a price increase, I get to know, and I get to help people say, I'm sorry. I did it myself, front of house, with my own 2 hands. Now, it feels that way sometimes when they really, they're edgy and they're just mad and they need a vent on whoever, whatever.
For sure. Again, from the Texas Restaurant Association, as you said, like, we can move to other proteins, but, for better or worse, Texas barbecue is associated with the slow cooked brisket. That's and beef ribs, and
that's a sad thing. Sometimes good things don't last forever.
It's true.
Pick any topic in the universe, and it's just the way it is. But it's like I'm gonna miss having cheaper burgers. I already do. Steaks, all of it. And I've started buying less steak myself just because it's expensive.
It is
yummy, but damn. Yeah, not for the bank account.
Exactly. So the one other squeeze is from the meat packers that deal with all this meat. 4 companies control 85% of U.S. beef processing. So Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton launched an investigation into potential market manipulation by these meat packers.
Because you have 4 heads of the same hydra.
Yeah, pretty much. So if meat packers manipulated the market to underpay ranchers while forcing families to pay higher prices, we need to and we will hold them accountable. But is that going to help prices immediately? Probably not.
Oh, geez, to bring down the prices? I mean, damn, it's a spicy meatball.
So big chains are actually doing okay with some of this. So Texas Roadhouse, they've actually seen a 12.8% revenue growth in the past year, I believe. Consumers shifting to cheaper menu items because they have that option. They can do pork, chicken, or lower cost cuts of beef. Outback Steakhouse beat their earning estimates. Stock went up by 40% in one day. But that's because they have the scale to be able to hedge those costs. They have menu flexibility. They have, value propositioning where they can.
Yeah, we're talking about restaurants that don't have a treasury versus corporations that have a rainy day treasury.
Yeah.
It's a scale.
It is absolutely scale. And small restaurants are going to have to get creative, are getting creative. Some are rendering beef fat into tallow to sell as a product. Some are turning brisket scraps into hamburger, chili meat, sloppy joes. Some are putting pork trimmings into their beans. They're not making more money. They're just staying profitable.
Sure. So I guess you'd have to cut out the brick and mortar side of things. I mean, Food Pod Collective, set up a few of those. You'd still need a kitchen to operate and deliver, unless the cart is big enough and legally, you can support a smoker and all that. I don't know. There's around our local area, there's tons of those food pod cart collectives and beer gardens and all that. And
Absolutely.
Maybe that is the future of, real estate and all that. Leasing the property is going to get more expensive. Then you might have to downsize, but that changes the image of the brand, in my opinion. It's no longer I get to, I grew up with generations of family going to this restaurant, and now they are, just outside and the food pod. And it's an adjustment, but at least you're still hopefully getting that same flavor from your childhood or whenever you first experienced said food.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like Mike says, in this day and age, sit down restaurants with menus are on the way out. I mean, clearly, some of them are doing okay. A lot of those are bigger chains that are able to offer combo deals and things like that to save them money and save the consumer money. Where was I? Yeah, but the screwworm thing is just a new layer from owner Skeeter Miller of County Line Barbecue. It's an issue. We just want to comfort the customer to know that they're going to have a good time and we can serve the best beef we can. But they've already had to adjust menus. They're creating platter deals, so it's not just brisket.
Pushing other proteins, probably.
Yeah, pushing other proteins, pushing cheaper cuts, things like that.
Stay competitive, I suppose.
But it's just the supply disruption is just going to create a lot of question marks for a lot of these restaurants. In Texas alone, $1.8 billion, I think we already said that, in economic losses. And a lot of these restaurants are already, right on the margin of profitable.
They're towing the line financially, probably.
Yeah. But, on the consumer behavior side, people aren't necessarily stopping eating beef. U.S. beef consumption is projected to hit a record high in this year, despite the prices.
Just for U.S. alone, not U.S. products delivered to other countries?
No, just consumption in the U.S., yeah. Consumers are trading down to cheaper cuts, getting top sirloin, brown, chuck roast instead of ribeye. Butcher Box, Butcher Box? I deliver meat cuts to your house. Top sirloin price sales went up 118% last year. A lot of this is kind of this high protein trend. Everything's protein now. I just ate protein popcorn.
Yeah, there's protein water, bottled water protein in it. I'm all right.
Protein coffee at Starbucks, and now BlackRock has it, I think, as well. And a lot of this is this protein milk isolate or milk protein isolate.
Sure.
Powder.
Oh, yeah. I mean, everything's protein. You don't really need that much protein unless you're working out crazy and, all that stuff.
Well, and the other side of it is if you are using a GLP-1
the weight loss thing?
Yeah, Ozempic or any of the other ones, Wegovy, or the Roe now has the white label, whatever.
I think my YouTube algorithm thinks that I'm a retired citizen because I only get medicine.
Yeah.
I'm all right, thanks.
But when you're on those, you want to eat less. Your brain triggers you to want to eat less, so you need to be eating more protein because your muscle mass will deteriorate if you're not eating enough protein. So people who are on that are now wanting more protein in all their everything.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I feel like in the past year or two that's been extra popularized.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
We had a ton of commercials for it at the Super Bowl. What's her name? Serena Williams. She's advertising for Roe. Charles Barkley. So you got these big celebrity names kind of behind these GLP-1 inhibitors. It's in a pill now on Hims. It's super easy. It's still expensive to get, but it is. People want it, get it. So from the National Restaurant Association, the more unstable the economic and political environment, the more American tastes return to meat. Even though these things are unstable, people are just get back to literally steak and potatoes.
A lot of us probably grew up on that. Go to the store, get some veggies, get some meat, stew it.
Yeah,
whatever.
People are buying it from grocery stores specifically. So restaurants, again, are getting hit on this, where people are just going to cook at home because that's cheaper.
Right.
You don't have to pay those labor costs. And what do they know how to cook? Well, steak, stuff like that. Barbecue meal costs $100. A recent report says most people have $210 left after rent.
They get like a family meal or a one person.
Yeah, they're not spending $100 on barbecue. They're buying mac and cheese or whatever, except that's been recalled now.
So a little anxiety with that food product.
So you can either pay rent or take your entire family to dinner. It's just the fact that working people can't afford to live anymore, and this is just compounding on that. So
the best part, humans need food.
Yes.
Yeah, damn.
So is screwworm actually going to make this worse? Restaurant owners, it's a lot of
too
question
early,
marks.
right?
Yeah.
We could speculate a lot. I mean, the fear side, yeah, dude, it screws over 10% of the cattle in a year. That's like what? Just my speculation of a scary sounding projection. Who knows? Hopefully everyone gets assembled, figures it out. We pump the male sterile flies out. And hopefully, yeah, we can hopefully get rid of the cases. That'd be ideal, but it's early. I mean, we'll have to follow up on this, give it a month maybe or something, see what's going on.
Yeah, for sure. Well, yeah, anyway, that's that big scary situation. And the other thing, just briefly, is like with the Iran deal and hopefully energy prices going back down, will prices for other products go down? So will restaurants be able to?
Right.
Well,
I mean, the oil.
I guess will more people be willing to go out to eat because they don't have to pay an arm and a leg for gas?
Oh, yeah. If you have more money in the bank instead of the gas tank, sure. I mean, I don't know if it's like a direct correlation, if that's going to be causal for people. There might still be too much anxiety that maybe people eventually would get into the pattern of like, damn, everything's expensive going out, so we're going to do it very rarely. But then maybe people create a habit consciously or unconsciously by eating at home because then they have a little more play money maybe. So maybe other things, I don't know. I'm not sure how people want to spend their money. But if the food's cheaper at home, they're probably going to do that. But if gas, obviously, if it were to be down, I mean, it's more money. So it's possible that you might have people more interested in going out to eat. Everyone enjoys being a dish bitch.
Yeah, exactly. So, for us specifically, a 10-ounce cheesesteak, roughly 0.625 pounds of beef. So if we're looking at $6.90 a pound for ground beef, that's the cheapest option. Looking at $4.31 food cost just for the meat, the bread, the peppers, onions. Total food cost, we're looking about $7.50 a sandwich, and we're charging about double that, maybe a little bit more.
What's wild is our bread is also baked on the East Coast in New Jersey.
Yes.
So that whole supply chain of crude or not crude, because they probably semi-truck or use the rail system to get that over here to the West Coast. Either way, oil is being used.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just like if the beef supply is squeezed again, if prices rise on the cheesesteaks, eventually we're going to have to raise prices again, or we shrink the portion.
Yeah, the standard largest, most expensive right now is $35.49 or something like that.
Yeah.
And obviously, since I started as a pandemic crew, when everything was, all right, social distance, masks, and everything's carry out only, it was crazy how busy we were during that time compared to recent years when, the pandemic's technically still here, right? But it's just, a lot of immunization, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, we just ignore it because
it's overplayed, I guess. I don't know.
So, yeah, it's like, luckily we're in Washington State. Most of our beef supply is probably from the Pacific Northwest or the Midwest.
Washington Beef Organization's a good one to look at.
Yeah, like you were talking about. But, hopefully this quarantine, it stays quarantined. The quarantine zone could expand. That could affect things. They could stop animal transport. So that means beef from certain states can't get across state lines. But, our supplier, our beef supplier, could start rationing as well because they might have to run out of stock if they're sending beef to other states.
Yeah, they're going to want to maintain stock on hand, so they're going to raise prices just because they don't want to be empty-handed when demand is there. That's a problem because then kitchens are going to try to source meat elsewhere, most likely.
It's just another scary portent of doom. I think we're pretty lucky in the place that we work at, in the situation that we're in.
Luckily, it freezes during the winter here regularly, so that kind of helps.
Don't think we'll necessarily have that big of an outbreak if it comes up here at all.
Well, yeah, I mean,
but we might have like a few months where it's scary because it stays pretty warm here till about October.
yeah, and also screwworm, since they're the young of the fly. After the screwworm grows, does it develop into a fly and fly away from the infected animal? Like,
So-
right? Like the eggs are laid in there, and eventually they grow up to be flies.
Yeah.
And they fly away after eating and infecting.
Yep.
And then so
They lay more eggs, and
So if we're shipping cows around, I'm just a stick to eating my Washington cow. Yeah, I'll just stick to that for now because I live here. If I was living in Texas, I would want to import a Washington cow, perhaps. I don't know. And it's very early. Hopefully, they stay on top of monitoring efforts. Like, it would be really cool. I know that some farmers have the little laser pods with cameras that could pick up mosquitoes and
Right,
stuff.
right.
It's like Star Wars on the farm. So maybe if we see lasers and some male flies, that'd be pretty wild and intense. But lasers don't really take much electricity to neutralize an insect.
but it is probably some kind of cost to purchase that.
Yeah, I imagine those are expensive, probably.
Yeah, and like I said, like it's already just hiring people to check the cows physically.
Oh yeah, they probably have all hands on deck in the region over there just to be there and be like, oh shit, let's make sure we keep eyes everywhere. Where them flies at?
Yeah. So already with the cost of things, $15, $16 cheesesteak could become a luxury, and it's just, if people are gonna trade on this and invest in these higher prices, it's just another transfer of wealth from poor, working class people who just want some beef to, like I said, these 4 meat packing companies that control most of the meat packing in the country. So
Polymarket, screwworm national emergency declared by. We have June 30th, 8%. August 30th, 51%. October 31st, 51%. Only thing though is someone just posted this recently and it's only $150 staked. That's it. This is like one person that created this. So I just wanted to check Polymarket. That's funny. Oh, geez. Polymarket can cover any topic you want.
yeah. Well, I'm glad someone is keeping tabs on that, so I don't have to necessarily. But yeah, this is just another thing. But we just wanted to cover that right here on the Medium Rare Show because it is affecting restaurants and restaurant workers and things like that, and that's what the show's about. And thanks for watching. Stay tuned. Tell your friends.
Yeah, man. It's been real.